بالنهار. قبل أسبوع يعني تقريبا جيت لهنا وصورنا
سبحان الله هذا رجعنا هي.
Turkey, Syria, Iraq, and Saudi Arabia have all experienced unprecedented success thanks to the Euphrates River, which has served as the region's main water source for the past 6,000 years and is renowned for its unmatched fertility and growth. All around us, though, new questions are arising as the river changes. What happened? Is this related to the wrath of God? In this episode, we will explain in more detail. Smash that thumbs up button for me, leave me a comment below, and share this video with your friends. And let's get started. The drying of the Euphrates River is not merely a prophecy, but an ongoing reality. Over the course of history, numerous civilizations have flourished along its banks. The Mesopotamian Kingdom, a major ethnic and cultural entity in the region, thrived in what was once part of the Fertile Crescent, a lush area extending from the Tigris to the Euphrates, now located in modern-day Iraq. As the longest river in Western Asia, the Euphrates stretches 1,240 kilometers from its source in eastern Turkey to its mouth at the Persian Gulf, flowing through Turkey, Syria, and Iraq. Along its route, various plant species have once thrived, although human activity over millennia has altered much of the landscape. Despite this, some ancient flora still persists. The river typically reaches its peak flow in April and May, driven primarily by rainfall and snowmelt. Recently, as the Euphrates has receded, it has unveiled several ancient structures and even a cave. Some speculate that these discoveries could be remnants of a bygone era, miraculously preserved through the ages. The reduction of the Euphrates River has uncovered various ancient ruins and a cave. Some speculate that these might be remnants of an ancient civilization that has survived through the ages. However, rumors suggest that eerie sounds, possibly of demonic origin, can be heard emanating from beneath the cave. Take a look. Why is this sound coming from the river? According to ancient legends and biblical accounts, God's wrath against humanity's sin and disobedience led him to imprison demons in a cave beneath the Euphrates River. These demons, shrouded in darkness, represent the ultimate punishment and divine retribution. By confining them in such a sacred and historically significant location, God aimed to prevent the havoc and destruction they might unleash if ever released. The drying up of the Euphrates is seen as a portent of impending awakening and profound change, signaling a potential shift in the balance between good and evil. These tales of demonic captivity serve not only as a testament to God's might and justice, but also as a solemn reminder for humanity to uphold moral values and faith. Can the demons in the cave under the Euphrates escape? What if they do? This is a question that worries many people. Legends and sacred books often suggest that their release would not only be a terrifying event, but could also lead to serious consequences. If these demons were to escape, they could bring great destruction and chaos. According to ancient stories and religious beliefs, they are capable of causing instability and destruction on a large scale. They can be terror bringers, undermine peace and order, and even lead to natural or social disasters. So what is said about demons in the Bible? Demons are essentially fallen angels, as depicted in Revelation 12:9, which states, "The great dragon was thrown down, that ancient serpent called the devil, or Satan, who deceives the whole world. He was hurled to the earth, and his angels with him." Satan's expulsion from heaven is further illustrated in Isaiah 14:12-15 and Ezekiel 28:12-15. At his fall, Satan took with him a third of the angels, as mentioned in Revelation 12:4. Jude 6 also references angels who have sinned. Thus, biblically, demons are fallen angels who, alongside Satan, chose to defy God. Some demons are currently confined in darkness, bound with everlasting chains, Jude 1:6, due to their rebellion, while others are free and operate as the powers of this dark world and the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Ephesians 6:12, cf. Colossians 2:15. These demons continue to follow Satan and engage in spiritual warfare against God's plans and people. Daniel 10:13. As spiritual entities, demons can possess human bodies, taking complete control over them. However, this form of possession cannot occur to those who belong to God, as the Holy Spirit dwells within them. 1 John 4:4. During his earthly ministry, Jesus encountered many demons, all of whom were no match for his divine power. As Matthew 8:16 recounts, many who were demon-possessed were brought to him, and he drove out the spirits with a word. How strange sounds in Euphrates River. Do you hear that sound? What does it remind you of? Comment below to let us know what you think. Recently, there was a strange scream in the Euphrates River. Is this the final trumpet call before the return of the king? Join us as we examine the evidence and uncover what God might be revealing to the world right now. For thousands of years, the Euphrates flowed powerfully through the heart of the Middle East. Revered in scripture and feared in prophecy, this river has long been a symbol of God's power and his judgment. Now in the 21st century, that river is drying. But this isn't just about water levels. As the riverbed is exposed, something ancient, something spiritual, is coming to light. It began with whispers in the villages along the Euphrates. As the river continued to dry up, locals started reporting a terrifying sight. A massive black eel, dark as the abyss, longer than a city bus, surfacing through the shallow waters. At first, it was dismissed as folklore or exaggeration. But then came the footage, real, raw, and disturbing. This giant freshwater eel defied all known biology. It measured over 30 feet in length, its body thick and armor-like, with movements that seemed deliberate and intelligent. But it wasn't just its size that shocked observers. It was the eyes, glowing red, locked in an unblinking stare, filled not with animal instinct but with something deeper, something almost sentient. The locals began calling it the Watcher of the Deep. This name carries chilling weight. In ancient texts and biblical tradition, Watchers were a class of fallen angels, divine beings who defied God, descended to earth, and were bound for their rebellion. Jude 1:6 says, "And the angels who did not keep their proper domain, he has kept in everlasting chains under darkness for the judgment of the great day." Could this monstrous creature be connected to those very angels? A guardian, a vessel, or even a manifestation of the demonic forces imprisoned beneath the Euphrates? Isaiah 27:1 speaks of Leviathan, the twisted serpent of the sea, a creature long believed to represent chaos, evil, and judgment. Could this eel be a descendant of Leviathan? Or worse, a sign that the fallen angels bound beneath the river are beginning to awaken? With the Euphrates drying up, just as prophesied, and strange creatures now surfacing, many are wondering, is this beast a warning? A spiritual alarm that something ancient and evil is rising again? Hold on a second. Tap that like button, drop a comment below, and don't forget to share this video with your friends. All right, let's keep going. As the Euphrates River continued to recede, it began revealing more than just dry earth. Near one exposed bend, researchers uncovered a series of massive stone slabs, deeply weathered, yet unmistakably engraved with mysterious and symbolic carvings. At first glance, the etchings appeared decorative, but upon closer inspection, scholars were stunned. The carvings depicted stars enclosed within circles, beings with wings and glowing eyes, and most disturbingly, hybrid creatures, part man and part beast, shown either worshiping or fighting celestial figures. These were not random images. They appeared deliberate, even sacred, and many of them bore striking resemblance to figures described in ancient biblical and extra-biblical texts, specifically those referencing the Nephilim. Genesis 6:4 tells us, "The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown." The Nephilim were the offspring of fallen angels and human women, giants of great strength and wickedness. Many scholars now believe these carvings are records or warnings left by ancient civilizations, etched in stone as a message for future generations. They tell of a time when heaven and earth intersected and spiritual corruption birthed monstrous consequences. The symbols are eerily similar to those found in Babylonian ziggurats and Mesopotamian temples, regions historically known for rebellion against God, idolatry, and occult worship. In many traditions, these carvings are considered gateways of memory, meant to preserve the stories of entities buried or bound beneath the earth. Keep watching. The next discovery brings us face to face with one of the strangest creatures yet. Just when it seemed the Euphrates had given up all its secrets, another terrifying surprise emerged. A local fisherman, casting his net along one of the drying tributaries, caught something else on camera, something no one expected. The footage showed a massive spider, easily the size of a medium-sized dog, leaping from the bank into the shallow water. With shocking precision, it grabbed a flailing fish, then darted back into a webbed crevice along the embankment. The video quickly went viral, sparking both fascination and fear. Spiders, as we know them, tend to avoid water, but this one seemed to thrive in it. Some scientists suggested it might be a previously unknown species, or perhaps a mutation triggered by environmental changes. Others were less convinced. The spider's behavior, size, and habitat simply defied biological logic. And then came the prophetic interpretations. In the Bible, insects and monstrous creatures often accompany divine judgment. Revelation 9 describes locust-like demons released from the abyss. Their power was like that of scorpions, and they brought torment to all who were not sealed by God. Could this spider be something similar? A spiritual mutation? An early sign of demonic forces awakening beneath the Euphrates? Just as hears it. Some say it sounds like wailing. Others believe it's the guttural voice of something ancient. Some have described it as a hoarse growl, as if something were stuck, something angry. Acoustic experts and geologists have attempted to record and analyze the sound, only to find strange anomalies in the frequency, sounds unnatural to any known geological activity. But what if this sound isn't geological? Could it be the voice of Behemoth, the creature described in Job 40, a beast of the earth created by God, destined to appear in the last days? Or perhaps it's not Behemoth at all, but something much more sinister. Many theologians, prophecy watchers, and Bible scholars are now turning their attention to a chilling possibility. The sound belongs to one of the fallen angels. This cave, recently discovered because the Euphrates River had dried up, could be one such place where such a creature was imprisoned. Revelation 9:14-15 adds even more meaning, and released the 4 angels who are bound in the great river Euphrates, and the 4 angels who have been kept ready for this hour, and this day, and this month, and this year, are to be released to kill a third of mankind. The prophecy is clear. 4 angels are imprisoned beneath the Euphrates River, waiting to be released at the appointed time. Could this cave be that place of imprisonment? Could the terrifying sound echoing from the depths be the voice of one of those angels, crying out as their time draws near? Skeptics say the fallen angels are merely metaphors, but when biblical prophecy is paired with real-world discoveries, the line between myth and fact begins to blur. The idea that they are imprisoned underground becomes more appealing when we hear truly inexplicable sounds coming from deep below the surface, in the very area associated with their judgment. What if the beings below are not dead, but are in hibernation? What if these are not souls, but immortal entities, buried beneath the earth's crust, chained until God's appointed time? And what if that time is now? The Nephilim, ancient descendants of fallen angels and human women, are described in the Bible as beings of great size, great strength, and awesome power. They are first mentioned in Genesis 6:4. These creatures were more than just taller than average. They were hybrid creations, never intended to exist according to God's original design, part divine, part human, and often corrupted by violence and pride. According to the Book of Enoch, they brought chaos, destruction, and forbidden knowledge to humanity, igniting God's wrath and leading to the Great Flood. But what if some of them survived? Many Bible scholars believe that not all of the Nephilim were destroyed in the flood. After all, the verse in Genesis says, "and then." This chilling phrase suggests that the Nephilim reappeared after the flood, and that they may have built civilizations far beyond our current understanding. Recently, there is news that scientists found a hidden city under a pyramid. The Great Pyramid of Giza, for instance, is made of over 2 million stone blocks, each weighing up to 15 tons, many sourced from over 500 kilometers away. Even with today's technology, replicating this feat would be a monumental challenge. Some Reformed now believe that the Nephilim were the true builders, not only of the pyramids, but of Stonehenge, the Moai of Easter Island, Machu Picchu, and other megalithic sites. These structures were not just tombs or temples, but part of a global system, possibly linked through energy grids, star alignments, and even passage underground ways. The Euphrates River region, ancient Mesopotamia, was once the cradle of civilization. It's also mentioned repeatedly in the Bible as a spiritually significant location. If the Nephilim or their descendants exist anywhere, this region would be the prime candidate. Could the caves and underground chambers now exposed by the drying riverbed be entrances to long-lost Nephilim cities? Keep watching. There's another discovery even more shocking. As the Euphrates River continues to dry up, it reveals more than just ancient land. It's uncovering artifacts that challenge everything we think we know about history. Among the most fascinating discoveries is a trio of objects buried beneath the riverbed: a copper pipe, a ceramic pot, and an iron rod. At first glance, these seem ordinary, but when combined with an acidic liquid like lemon juice or vinegar, they create a working electrical current. This setup mirrors what's known today as the Baghdad battery, an ancient device first unearthed in Iraq in the 1930s. Scientists later confirmed that these components, dating back over 2,000 years, could indeed generate electricity through basic electrochemical principles. Something horrifying has happened. The Euphrates River has finally dried up, and what's emerging from beneath the riverbed is nothing short of chilling. Archaeologists have uncovered ancient ruins, strange sounds, and a terrifying animal that defies scientific explanation. Even more unsettling, these findings seem to match the prophecies written in the book of Revelation. Has the drying of the Euphrates signaled the beginning of the end times? Are we witnessing the rise of ancient forces long buried beneath the earth? The answers may shock you. Keep watching to find out. The Euphrates River's water levels have been steadily decreasing for years, with experts warning that the Euphrates could dry up entirely by 2040. Climate change, water mismanagement, and political conflict over water resources have all been cited as contributing factors. But could there be something more to this? Could the drying of the Euphrates be a direct fulfillment of ancient biblical prophecy? This prophecy of Revelation 16:12 foretells that when the Euphrates dries up, a series of catastrophic events will unfold, leading to the final battle of Armageddon and the return of Christ. Could we be witnessing the beginning of these apocalyptic events? Could the drying of the Euphrates be a divine signal that the end is near? Do you think this river will dry up by 2040 or when it will? We guess the answers might be more terrifying than anyone expects. Hold on a second. Tap that like button, drop a comment below, and don't forget to share this video with your friends. All right, let's keep going. In a shocking twist, shortly after the Euphrates River dried up, a massive plague of locusts descended upon the region. Swarms of locusts darkened the skies, destroying crops and overwhelming villages. This event bears a chilling resemblance to the prophecy in Revelation 9, which describes a swarm of terrifying locusts released upon the earth after the fifth angel sounds his trumpet. And out of the smoke, locusts came down on the earth and were given power like that of scorpions of the earth. Revelation 9:3. These locusts are not described as ordinary insects. They have human-like faces, lion's teeth, and scorpion tails capable of inflicting agony on mankind for 5 months. According to the Bible, the locusts will torment humanity so severely that people will seek death, but death will elude them. The locust outbreak also coincided with a meteor shower that occurred on April 21st. Some scholars believe that the star mentioned in Revelation, which opens the abyss and unleashes the locusts, could be linked to this celestial event. Could the locusts be more than just an environmental disaster? Could they be a physical manifestation of an ancient spiritual plague, unleashed as part of God's final judgment? Keep watching, because the next discovery is even more terrifying. As archaeologists continued their investigation beneath the dried riverbed, they made a chilling discovery: the skeletal remains of giant bats, with wingspans measuring over 6 feet, far larger than any known species of bat. The sheer size and unnatural appearance of these creatures have left scientists baffled, fueling speculation that these could be linked to dark spiritual forces. Bats have long been associated with darkness and demonic activity. In biblical symbolism, bats are often tied to unclean spirits and spiritual corruption. Isaiah 2:20 mentions bats in the context of idolatry and impurity. In that day, people will throw away to the moles and bats their idols of silver and idols of gold, which they made to worship. Could the discovery of these giant bats be linked to the fallen angels bound beneath the Euphrates, as described in Revelation 9:14-15? The Bible warns that these angels will be released to bring destruction upon a third of mankind, and their release could awaken dark spiritual entities hidden beneath the earth. Bats, with their nocturnal nature and ability to dwell in darkness, have long been seen as symbols of evil and demonic presence. In various ancient cultures, bats have been viewed as omens of death and chaos, often connected to the underworld. Some scholars have even drawn parallels between the appearance of giant bats and the description of the demonic locusts in Revelation 9. Terrifying creatures resembling horses prepared for battle, with wings that thunder like chariots. The Bible's locusts are described as having teeth like lions and tails that sting like scorpions, inflicting torment on humanity. Could these giant bats be physical manifestations of such demonic creatures? A sign that the spiritual barrier between our world and the demonic realm is beginning to break down? The presence of these enormous bats beneath the Euphrates may not be a coincidence. Could it be that the fallen angels are stirring, and that the creatures they once controlled are beginning to awaken? The timing of these discoveries, combined with the drying of the river, aligns too closely with biblical prophecy to be ignored. If so, could the appearance of these demonic creatures be a warning that the prophecies of Revelation are beginning to unfold? Deep beneath the dried riverbed of the Euphrates, archaeologists made one of the most chilling discoveries yet: a massive stone gate covered in mysterious symbols and carvings. The gate, partially buried beneath layers of sediment and mud, appears to date back to the time of the early Mesopotamian civilization, possibly over 5,000 years old. The sheer size of the gate and the complexity of the carvings have left archaeologists stunned, as the craftsmanship exceeds the known abilities of ancient civilizations in the region. What makes this discovery even more unsettling are the symbols etched into the stone: strange humanoid figures with elongated limbs and distorted faces, alongside carvings of large winged creatures with serpent-like tails. Some of the symbols bear a striking resemblance to early Sumerian depictions of the Anunnaki, the gods of the ancient Mesopotamian pantheon, who some believe were connected to the Nephilim. Biblical scholars have suggested that this gate could be linked to the Nephilim, the offspring of fallen angels and human women described in Genesis 6:4. The Nephilim were believed to be giants with supernatural strength and intelligence, born from the union of fallen angels and human women. These beings were said to have corrupted humanity with violence and sin, leading God to cleanse the earth with the Great Flood. However, the Bible also states that the Nephilim were present afterward, suggesting that some may have survived or returned after the flood. The discovery of this gate beneath the Euphrates raises a terrifying possibility. Could this gate have been a barrier, constructed to hold back the influence of the Nephilim? Some scholars have theorized that ancient civilizations may have known about the spiritual corruption of the Nephilim and built barriers or portals to separate the spiritual and physical worlds. The gate's discovery beneath the Euphrates, combined with the river's drying, may not be a coincidence. The Bible describes the Euphrates drying up as a sign that the kings of the East will be prepared for war, Revelation 16:12. If this gate is part of that preparation, it suggests that powerful spiritual forces are already aligning for the final battle. More unsettling is the theory that the gate could serve as a portal, allowing not only the Nephilim, but also fallen angels and other demonic entities to enter our world. The timing of the discovery, combined with other prophetic signs such as wars, plagues, and natural disasters, suggests that the boundaries between the physical and spiritual worlds may be breaking down. If the Nephilim are returning, and the ancient gate beneath the Euphrates is the key, then we may be witnessing the beginning of the end times. Amid the receding banks of the Euphrates, explorers and locals reported a stunning and rare sight: a majestic white lion wandering near the river. White lions are incredibly rare, both in the wild and in captivity, and have long been regarded as symbols of purity, strength, and spiritual power. In many ancient cultures, lions represented kingship, divine authority, and protection. The sudden appearance of a white lion near the Euphrates, a river directly linked to biblical prophecy, has left many wondering if this is a supernatural sign tied to the unfolding of end-time events. In the Bible, lions have always held deep spiritual significance. The lion is often seen as a representation of God's strength and judgment. Revelation 5:5 refers to Jesus as the Lion of the tribe of Judah, highlighting his authority and his victory over sin and death. Do not weep. See, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, has triumphed. The appearance of a white lion near the Euphrates is particularly significant because white lions are often seen as messengers of purity and spiritual awakening. Some biblical scholars have suggested that this could be a sign that Jesus' return is near, a symbol that the Lion of Judah is preparing to reclaim his kingdom. In Christian eschatology, Jesus' second coming is described as a moment when he will return as a conquering king, bringing judgment to the wicked and salvation to the faithful. The white lion's appearance near the Euphrates could also be linked to ancient prophetic signs of judgment and redemption. The drying up of the Euphrates itself is viewed as a major end times prophecy. Revelation 16:12 states, "The sixth angel poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up to prepare the way for the kings from the east." This contrast between the roaring lion, Satan, and the Lion of Judah, Jesus, reflects the ongoing spiritual conflict at the heart of biblical prophecy. The appearance of the white lion near the Euphrates could represent the nearing clash between these opposing forces, a sign that the final battle between good and evil is about to unfold. Some have also suggested that the white lion could symbolize protection for the faithful during the coming tribulation. In ancient cultures, lions were seen as protectors and guardians of sacred spaces. The white lion's sudden appearance could mean that God is sending a message of protection to those who remain faithful. A reminder that even as chaos and judgment unfold, those who trust in God will be shielded from harm. Moreover, in ancient Mesopotamian and Sumerian traditions, lions were regarded as sacred animals associated with the gods. Statues of lions were often placed at the entrances of temples and palaces to ward off evil spirits and symbolize divine protection. Could the white lion's presence near the Euphrates represent a supernatural barrier, a sign that spiritual forces are beginning to awaken as the end of days approaches? One of the most terrifying and mysterious events connected to the drying of the Euphrates River is the sudden appearance of blood rain in the region. Witnesses have described seeing a deep crimson rain falling from the sky, staining the ground and filling nearby streams with a blood-like hue. This unsettling phenomenon has left both scientists and religious leaders searching for answers. Blood rain is a rare and poorly understood event in meteorology. In some cases, it has been linked to red dust or sand being carried into the atmosphere by strong winds, which mixes with rain and gives it a reddish color. However, the intensity and scale of the blood rain near the Euphrates, combined with its sudden appearance alongside other apocalyptic signs, have led many to believe that this is not a natural occurrence, but a supernatural warning. This phenomenon closely resembles the prophecy described in Revelation 16:4. The third angel poured out his bowl on the rivers and springs of water, and they became blood. The Bible foretells that during the end times, the waters of the earth will turn to blood as a sign of divine judgment. The connection between the Euphrates drying up and the sudden appearance of blood rain has caused many Christians to believe that the 7 trumpets of judgment described in Revelation are beginning to sound. In Revelation 8, the 7 trumpets are described as heralding catastrophic events upon the earth. The first trumpet brings hail and fire mixed with blood, scorching the earth. The second trumpet turns the seas to blood, destroying marine life. The third trumpet poisons the rivers and springs, making them undrinkable. The fourth trumpet darkens the sky, plunging the world into chaos. The fifth trumpet releases locust-like creatures to torment mankind. The sixth trumpet releases the 4 angels bound beneath the Euphrates, leading to the death of a third of mankind. The seventh trumpet announces the final judgment and the return of Christ. Could the appearance of blood rain near the Euphrates be a direct fulfillment of these prophecies? Is this a divine signal that the final phase of God's plan for humanity is unfolding? The phenomenon of blood rain has also been linked to the rise of the kings of the East described in Revelation 16:12. The 6th angel poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up to prepare the way for the kings from the East. Many theologians believe that the kings from the East represent a vast and powerful alliance that will rise in the final days, leading to the ultimate conflict at Armageddon. The appearance of blood rain near the Euphrates could be a sign that the stage is being set for this climactic battle. The terrifying nature of the blood rain, combined with the drying of the river and the appearance of other apocalyptic signs, has caused many believers to conclude that the final days are fast approaching. If the Euphrates drying up is the key event that sets prophecy into motion, then the blood rain could be the signal that the time of judgment is near. As scientists struggle to explain the blood rain, believers are left with a chilling conclusion that the prophecies of Revelation are not just metaphorical warnings, but real events unfolding before our eyes. The blood rain near the Euphrates could be the ultimate sign that Christ's return is closer than anyone realizes. The question is, are you prepared? The drying of the Euphrates River and the remarkable discoveries beneath its riverbed are not just fascinating archaeological finds. They are profound signs that point toward the fulfillment of biblical prophecy. For centuries, the Euphrates has held a central role in both human history and divine revelation. From the Garden of Eden to the rise and fall of Babylon, the Euphrates has been more than just a river. It has been a boundary between the physical and the spiritual, between human civilization and divine judgment. Now, as its waters recede, ancient secrets long hidden beneath its surface are coming to light, and the world is beginning to realize that these events are not mere coincidences. They may be direct warnings from God. The strange sounds echoing from beneath the dried riverbed have left scientists baffled and locals terrified. Deep, unnatural groans and metallic scraping sounds suggest that something beneath the river is stirring, something that has been hidden and bound for millennia. Could this be the fulfillment of Revelation 9:14-15, where the Bible speaks of 4 angels bound beneath the Euphrates, waiting for the appointed time of their release to bring destruction upon a third of mankind? If so, the terrifying sounds from beneath the river could be the first signs that these angelic forces are beginning to stir. The discovery of giant bones beneath the Euphrates only deepens the mystery. These enormous humanoid remains resemble the descriptions of the Nephilim, the offspring of fallen angels and human women mentioned in Genesis 6:4. The Nephilim were described as mighty warriors, feared for their immense size and supernatural strength. If these bones are truly remnants of the Nephilim, it raises disturbing questions. Could some of these ancient giants have survived the Great Flood? Were they imprisoned beneath the river, only to resurface as part of the end times judgment? Even more chilling is the discovery of the giant bat-like skeletons, creatures far larger than any known species of bat. Bats have long been associated with darkness, corruption, and demonic activity. Could these creatures be manifestations of unclean spirits or fallen angels, stirring beneath the Euphrates as the boundaries between the physical and spiritual worlds begin to dissolve? The idea that these creatures were linked to fallen angels adds another layer of unsettling prophecy to the unfolding events. The ancient gate discovered beneath the riverbed adds yet another piece to this prophetic puzzle. Covered in strange carvings and symbols, the gate appears to predate known Mesopotamian civilizations. Its connection to the Nephilim raises questions about whether it was a portal or barrier separating the physical and spiritual realms. If this gate has now been opened, could it mean that ancient spiritual forces, bound for millennia, are now being released? The reappearance of the Nephilim or their influence could be a sign that the final confrontation between good and evil is drawing near. Perhaps the most profound sign of all is the sighting of the white lion near the river. In biblical tradition, the lion is a powerful symbol of divine authority and strength. Jesus is referred to as the Lion of Judah in Revelation 5:5, representing his ultimate authority and victory over sin and darkness. The sudden appearance of a white lion near the Euphrates, combined with the other prophetic signs, suggests that spiritual forces are gathering for the final battle. Could this be a warning from God that the return of Christ is imminent? Could the lion be a sign that Jesus is preparing to reclaim his kingdom and bring judgment upon the earth? The phenomenon of the river turning blood red adds another chilling layer to the unfolding prophecy. Revelation 16:4 states, "The third angel poured out his bowl on the rivers and springs of water, and they became blood." The Bible foretells that the waters turning to blood will be a sign of divine judgment and a warning that the final tribulations are near. The fact that the Euphrates is drying up and turning red at the same time aligns so closely with Revelation that it is difficult to ignore. The red waters are not just a natural event, they are a spiritual signal that the time of judgment is at hand. Furthermore, the 7 trumpets described in Revelation 8-11 warn of cataclysmic events that will shake the world before the return of Christ. The drying of the Euphrates and the appearance of these prophetic signs could indicate that the trumpets are already sounding. The Locust plague, the rise of demonic entities, the discovery of ancient relics tied to the Nephilim, and the strange sounds beneath the river all point to the fulfillment of these warnings. The Bible teaches that after the trumpets, the final judgment will follow. What does all of this mean? It means that the world is entering a time of spiritual conflict and awakening. The discoveries beneath the Euphrates are not just relics of an ancient past. They are evidence that the spiritual realm is beginning to break through into the physical world. The fallen angels, the Nephilim, the rise of darkness, and the appearance of divine signs all suggest that humanity is approaching the final days foretold in Revelation. Jesus warned that his return would be preceded by signs in the heavens and on the earth. Matthew 24:6-8 states, "You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of birth pains." We are now seeing wars, natural disasters, plagues, and geopolitical instability on an unprecedented scale. The Euphrates River is drying up, revealing ancient secrets and stirring supernatural forces. The signs of Christ's return are unfolding before our very eyes. The question is not whether the end times are near. The question is, are you ready? The Bible warns that when Jesus returns, he will come not as the suffering servant, but as the righteous king. Revelation 22:12 reminds us, "Behold, I am coming soon. My reward is with me, and I will give to each person according to what they have done." If you haven't already turned to Christ, now is the time. The discoveries beneath the Euphrates are not just historical artifacts, they are warnings. God is calling humanity to repentance. The final battle between good and evil is approaching, and soon the heavens will open, and Christ will return to establish his kingdom. Don't ignore the signs. Surrender your heart to Christ, ask for his forgiveness, turn from sin, and accept his gift of salvation. The discoveries beneath the Euphrates are a final warning that the time of decision is at hand. When Christ returns, will you be ready to stand before him? The time is now. Don't wait until it's too late. Turn to Jesus today, because the signs are clear and the end is near. I have been getting dozens upon dozens of questions from that Ask a Scripture or Theology section on the right sidebar of this blog. I am realizing that I might have to turn it off for a while just so I can get caught up. Many of the questions are similar though, so my wife says that maybe I should create a FAQ section to the blog, and that way, after I have answered a question, I can point people to the post where I have already answered it. I think I will follow her wise advice. Just another reason I love her. Anyway, below is another question that came in recently. This one is about Jesus' second coming. First, thank you for replying to my posts. Once in a while, I see something online that I feel strongly moved to comment upon. The subject of saying God bless you is not what inspired me to make the comments. It just seemed like a good place to start. Before I go any further, I need to tell you that it occurred to me after posting that you may have taken some of what I wrote as a personal criticism. That is by no means what I intended, not even in the least, and if my writing did give you that impression, I apologize. The reasons I bothered posting are first, because I just happened upon your website this morning for the first time when researching something I'm working on. One of the two biggest questions I've had in my own mind for some time now, with respect to traditional Christian theology, was regarding the meaning of 2 Timothy 3:16. I knew I needed to find the meaning of the original words because I was fairly confident that there was a problem with the meaning of the word translated into English as scripture. Your initial post answered my question thoroughly. Thank you for that. Responses from your readers were of additional help. As always, I got exactly what I needed when I needed it. It still awes me that it continues to happen, and I hope I never become nonchalant about that. I'd like to add my own comments on that passage in 2 Timothy, and perhaps I will in the near future. But that is not the biggest priority in my work right now. The second reason I posted was because of your apparent humility and lack of ego. I haven't yet had the time to explore your website more thoroughly, but my first impression is that you try to present yourself as a fellow seeker who, in spite of formal theological training, understands that teaching and learning are inseparable, and neither of them is a one-way street. That is a refreshing change from the attitudes of so many evangelists, both online and in the pulpit. As I referenced your website while writing this, I came upon your statement that my theology has changed a lot since I preached these sermons, which is one reason I am not a pastor today. That convinced me that I should ask you my next question. There is another passage in the New Testament which I strongly feel has been misunderstood. I don't have chapter and verse numbers memorized, so again I had to research before writing this. Another awesome coincidence just happened again. I took a Bible down from the shelf and opened it. The first page I opened it to contain the passage I was looking for. That is Luke 17:23-24. I'm sure you know the passage better than I do. It says, roughly translated, people will say to you, look, there, he is. Or look, here, he is. Do not go off in pursuit, for as the lightning flashing under heaven, across the sky, so will be the Son of Man. The sense I get here is that Jesus will not appear in the flesh as the same Jesus of Nazareth who was speaking, but that it would be his Spirit, the same Spirit with which mankind is, or will be, anointed, that will begin to manifest across the entire corpus of humanity, like flashes of lightning seen everywhere illuminating the darkness of the clouds. A beautiful metaphor for what I like to think of as the beautiful apocalypse. The earlier verse of Luke 17:21 seems to support that. Neither will people say, look here, or look there, for the kingdom of God is inside you. Also in Mark 14:62, Jesus says, you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of power and coming with the clouds of heaven. This is a much more difficult verse to interpret for those of us who know neither Aramaic nor Greek, but the same interpretation seems to fit. I don't know if you've already addressed this in your blog, but I wonder if you might find time to share your thoughts on this. Thank you for your many kind words, although I think you may have overestimated both my humility and my biblical knowledge. Just this morning, my ego lashed out at some poor soul on Twitter who accused me of blogging just so I could sell books. I don't know him, and he doesn't know me, but we got in a bit of a tiff over it. Such a silly thing to argue about. But my ego got the best of me on that one. For the record, yes, I like to sell books, but I also give away all my new ebooks for free to newsletter subscribers. If I was really just trying to sell books, would I be doing that? No, period. And regarding biblical knowledge, while I do have formal training, I think people sometimes place too much value on seminary education. I know for a fact that many seminary-educated people think their degree makes them better somehow than others. But I believe that having letters after your name doesn't mean you know more about the Bible than anybody else. It may in fact mean you know less. Jesus' second coming. Anyway, that is not what you were asking about. You were asking about passages that speak of Jesus' second coming or the return of Jesus. You specifically mentioned Luke 17:20-24 and Mark 14:62. I am by no means an expert on these texts. I have been studying and reading a lot about them in the last several years, but have no firm conclusions. So let me simply state some tentative ideas about these texts, and then trust God to lead you into more understanding about them. I followed the word traditional above with question marks because, although this view is traditional for me, it is what I have been taught for most of my life. I am not sure that this is the traditional view throughout all church history. I suspect that it is not. The traditional understanding of passages like Luke 17:20-24 and Mark 14:62 is that they refer to Jesus' second coming. And yes, if that is what these texts refer to, Jesus' second coming will be visible worldwide, and there will be no doubt in anyone's mind of what is happening. This is why Jesus says that if you hear reports about his return, you don't need to go see if it is true. When he returns, you will know. If this is the way Jesus' second coming occurs, I do think it will be with a physical body. Though the passages mention clouds and lightning, these are simply things that would accompany his return and do not themselves describe the form Jesus will take when he returns. So if Jesus comes on the clouds with lightning, but he is in physical form, how will everyone see his return? This I do not know. I can speculate that maybe the lightning will flash all around the earth and Jesus would take a quick trip around the earth as well so that all can see him, but I simply do not know. It would put us on dangerous theological ground to say that Jesus' second coming will not be with a physical body. Just as Jesus came physically the first time, died a physical death, and was raised with a physical body, so also Jesus' second coming and his rule and reign on earth will be with a physical body. This is partly so that Jesus can continue to identify with us in our humanity, but also so that we are not deceived into thinking Jesus has already returned spiritually when in fact he has not. This was part of the error Paul tried to correct in the Thessalonian church. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next video. By David is one of the most famous biblical accounts of giant beings. His abnormal size and strength set him apart from ordinary men, leading many to question his origins. Was Goliath merely a naturally large man, or was he something more? Some biblical researchers believe that Goliath was a direct descendant of the Nephilim, a remnant of the corrupt bloodline left behind after the flood. This theory is supported by additional biblical references to other giants that existed long after Noah's time. For example, in Numbers 13:33, when the Israelite spies scouted the Promised Land, they reported seeing giants. We saw the Nephilim there. The descendants of Anak come from the Nephilim. We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we looked the same to them. Numbers 13:33 NIV. These giants, known as the Anakim, were believed to be descendants of the Nephilim. The Bible later describes David and his men fighting against more giants from Goliath's lineage in 2 Samuel 21:15-22, further reinforcing the belief that the Nephilim bloodline persisted long after the flood. The fallen angels and their connection to the Euphrates River. If Goliath was indeed a Nephilim, and his sword has now been discovered in the Euphrates River, could there be a deeper spiritual significance to this location? Is it possible that the very river tied to demonic imprisonment and judgment is now revealing long-hidden secrets that align with biblical prophecy? The Euphrates River is one of the most important rivers mentioned in the Bible, often linked to God's judgment, destruction, and supernatural events. From the earliest accounts in Genesis to the apocalyptic visions of Revelation, this river has been associated with powerful divine interventions. In the book of Revelation, we find one of the most chilling prophecies about the Euphrates, one that speaks of 4 fallen angels bound beneath its waters, awaiting their time of release. It said to the 6th angel who had the trumpet, "Release the 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates." And the 4 angels who had been kept ready for this very hour and day and month and year were released to kill 1/3 of mankind. Revelation 9:14-15 NIV. This passage describes a terrifying event, a time when 4 fallen angels will be set loose upon the world, bringing death and devastation on an unprecedented scale. These powerful entities, once part of God's divine order, rebelled against him, and were imprisoned beneath the Euphrates. The fact that they remain bound until a specific moment in history suggests that their release will be part of God's prophetic timeline. The discovery of a massive sword, possibly belonging to Goliath, within the Euphrates raises important spiritual questions. Is it simply an ancient artifact, or is it a sign of something greater? Could it be connected to the fallen angels bound beneath the river? If the Nephilim were the offspring of fallen angels, and their bloodline persisted through giants like Goliath, could this discovery be evidence of their existence? More importantly, does it indicate that we are approaching the time of their release? Do you remember the giant snake skeleton we mentioned above? And could this giant snake skeleton be linked to the fallen angels bound beneath the Euphrates? In Revelation 9:14-15, the Bible speaks of 4 angels imprisoned in the river, awaiting their release to unleash devastation upon the world. Some believe these fallen angels, possibly the watchers mentioned in the book of Enoch, once roamed the earth, corrupting humanity and introducing dark knowledge, including sorcery and genetic manipulation. Ancient texts and legends speak of beings that tampered with creation, giving rise to unnatural creatures. The Nephilim, the offspring of fallen angels and human women, Genesis 6:1-4, were described as giants. Could other monstrous creatures like enormous serpents have also existed in that era? If fallen angels once roamed the earth, creating abominations and perverting God's creation, could the skeletal remains found in the Euphrates be a relic of their influence? The timing of this discovery, alongside the drying up of the river, only deepens the mystery. Prophecies indicate that when the Euphrates dries up, major events will unfold, including the release of bound supernatural entities and the preparation for the final battle between good and evil. Could this be a sign that these ancient forces are stirring once more? The Bible has long warned that deception would be a hallmark of the last days. The book of Revelation warns of the Euphrates River drying up, and this is signaling world-changing events. Once this thought to be symbolic, this prophecy now feels eerily real. A shocking discovery beneath its waters has left scientists baffled and believers alarmed. Could this be proof of God's hand at work? The Bible links the Euphrates to fallen angels and the rise of the Antichrist. Is this the final warning? Join us as we uncover the truth behind this chilling revelation and its connection to the return of Christ. The Euphrates River is drying up at an alarming rate. The dwindling waters of the Euphrates have revealed hidden secrets buried beneath its depths, secrets that may have remained hidden for thousands of years. As researchers explored the exposed riverbed of the drying Euphrates River, they stumbled upon a shocking discovery, an enormous skeletal structure resembling that of a colossal serpent. The sheer size and length of the bones defied all known species, leading to immediate speculation about its origins. Some scientists theorize that it could be the remains of a prehistoric species yet to be identified, while others question whether it belongs to a long-extinct giant serpent from an era long forgotten. However, not all scholars believe this discovery is merely a scientific anomaly. Some religious historians and theologians see this as a sign, perhaps a manifestation of ancient biblical warnings. Could this be a remnant of the great creatures mentioned in ancient texts? Or does it point to something even more unsettling, a connection to the forces of darkness? One theory suggests that this could be the preserved remains of an ancient species that thrived thousands of years ago when the Euphrates was a much different environment. Nevertheless, another more alarming theory ties this discovery to biblical prophecy. Snakes have long been associated with deception, evil, and chaos, symbolizing the presence of dark forces. The book of Genesis describes the serpent as the instrument of Satan in the Garden of Eden. The book of Revelation warns of the great dragon, Satan himself, who will deceive nations. Could this serpent's remains be a direct sign pointing toward prophetic fulfillment? The drying of the Euphrates has already been linked to the end times by many biblical scholars, and now, with this eerie discovery, some fear that something even more sinister is unfolding before our eyes. Is this a warning from heaven? Why did the skeleton of a giant snake appear in the Euphrates River? The presence of this colossal serpent skeleton raises numerous questions. If this were simply an ancient species, why has no record of such a creature ever been found before? Some biblical scholars suggest that this may not be a coincidence. The Euphrates River has long been associated with divine intervention and judgment, and the sudden appearance of such a mysterious skeleton could be a sign from God, one that demands our attention. Hold on a second. Tap that like button, drop a comment below, and don't forget to share this video with your friends. All right, let's keep going. Snakes in the Bible. Throughout the Bible, serpents have played a crucial role in representing deception, sin, divine punishment, and even spiritual warfare. From the Garden of Eden to the apocalyptic visions in Revelation, snakes have been tied to the forces of evil and chaos. The discovery of a giant serpent skeleton in the Euphrates River may hold deeper symbolic significance, perhaps even pointing to ancient battles between divine and fallen beings. The most infamous biblical reference to a serpent comes from Genesis. Satan took the form of a serpent to deceive Eve, leading to the fall of humanity. Genesis 3:1-5. This moment marked the introduction of sin and death into the world, showing how the serpent was an agent of deception, working against God's divine order. The snake was cursed by God, doomed to crawl on its belly as a sign of eternal humiliation. Genesis 3:14. If the skeletal remains discovered in the Euphrates truly belonged to an ancient, colossal serpent, could it serve as a reminder of the original deception, an echo of the first rebellion against God? Snakes also appear in the time of Moses. In Numbers 21:6-9, after the Israelites rebelled against God, he sent venomous serpents as a form of divine judgment. Many perished, but those who looked upon the bronze serpent Moses lifted on a pole were healed. This paradoxical symbol, the serpent as both punishment and salvation, foreshadowed the coming of Christ, who would be lifted up to redeem humanity. However, the most chilling connection between snakes and biblical prophecy comes in Revelation, where Satan is described as the great dragon, that ancient serpent who is called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world. Revelation 12:9. Here the serpent evolves into a dragon, a fearsome entity associated with end times deception, chaos, and destruction.
Zealand now, where biologists have found a wealth of new species after exploring a rift some 5 kilometers beneath the sea.
The Euphrates River is more than just a body of water. It's a symbol of prophecy, history, and mystery. And now it's making headlines for an astonishing reason. As the water level drops, hidden secrets are coming to the surface. Are these discoveries a sign of the times? Or are we finally uncovering a forgotten chapter of history? What's happening in the Euphrates might change everything. Join us as we dive deep into this unfolding mystery and uncover the truth behind one of the most prophetic events of our time, the drying up of the Euphrates River. For centuries, the Euphrates River has been a vital water source for the Middle East, sustaining civilizations from ancient Mesopotamia to modern-day nations. However, due to climate change, dam constructions, and shifting geological patterns, the river is now shrinking at an alarming rate. The Bible, particularly in Revelation 16:12, prophesies that the Euphrates will dry up as a precursor to the final battles of the end times. The sixth angel poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up to prepare the way for the kings from the east. As the riverbed continues to recede, not only are ancient artifacts and ruins being exposed, but locals have also reported encountering something far more terrifying. Hold on a second. Tap that like button, drop a comment below, and don't forget to share this video with your friends. All right, let's keep going. Recently, several residents near the Euphrates River have reported witnessing an enormous creature lurking just beneath the water's surface. Though it never fully emerged, the glimpses of its massive, shadowy form and the powerful waves it generated sent chills through those who saw it. Some described its movement as unnatural, as if something ancient and powerful was stirring beneath the riverbed. Others claimed to hear deep, guttural sounds reverberating from the water, sounds unlike anything they had encountered before. These unsettling reports have led many to suspect that they had encountered the Leviathan, the fearsome sea monster described in the Bible. The book of Job provides a vivid depiction of this terrifying beast. Can you pull in Leviathan with a fish hook or tie down its tongue with a rope? Can you put a cord through its nose or pierce its jaw with a hook? Job 41, 1-2. Leviathan is described as an indomitable creature, untamable by man, with scales like armor and the power to breathe fire. Traditionally, many biblical scholars have considered Leviathan to be either a metaphor for chaos or an extinct sea creature from ancient times. But could it be possible that the Leviathan, often thought to be symbolic, is now revealing itself as a real entity? The idea of a monstrous being lurking in the depths is not new. Many cultures and ancient texts reference enormous sea creatures capable of destruction. In Psalm 74:14, God is said to have crushed the heads of Leviathan, suggesting a multi-headed sea beast. Isaiah 27:1 further prophecies, "In that day the Lord will punish Leviathan, the fleeing serpent, Leviathan, the twisted serpent, and he will slay the dragon that is in the sea." This raises the possibility that Leviathan is not just a single entity, but a force that reappears in times of great upheaval. Some even believe that the rising presence of supernatural beings, whether angels, demons, or hidden creatures, could be a warning sign from God. If an ancient beast has indeed resurfaced, its presence could signify a terrifying reality. That prophecy is being fulfilled before our very eyes. Before we move on, consider sending a super chat to support us. Every contribution helps. Thanks so much. Why did the creature like Leviathan appear in the Euphrates River? The Leviathan is traditionally associated with the sea, but the fact that it may have been seen in the Euphrates raises many questions. Some believe that as the river dries up, it is exposing hidden creatures that have been trapped for centuries. Others suggest that this is a supernatural manifestation, a warning of greater things to come. Revelation 13 is one of the most significant chapters in the book of Revelation, describing the emergence of two powerful beasts, one from the sea and one from the earth. These beasts play a crucial role in the end times events, serving as instruments of deception, control, and destruction. Then I saw a beast rising up out of the sea. It had 7 heads and 10 horns, with 10 crowns on its horns, and written on each head were names that blaspheme God. Revelation 13:1. This beast is also given the power to wage war against God's people and to rule over nations. Many scholars interpret this beast as representing a global political system, possibly the Antichrist empire, which will rise in the last days to dominate the world. However, others speculate that it could also refer to an actual monstrous entity, one that has lain dormant, waiting for its time to be revealed. Could the Leviathan be connected to this prophecy? Is Leviathan another sign that Judgment Day is near? Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more amazing content. Your thoughts matter, so feel free to share your opinions in the comments. Now let's dive back in. Why does this sound appear in the river? According to legends and teachings in the Bible, God's anger at humanity's sin and betrayal led to him sending demons to earth and locking them in the Euphrates River cave. These demons, imprisoned in darkness, are symbols of severe punishment and divine justice. God ordered them locked up to prevent the chaos and destruction they could cause if freed. The Euphrates River, a sacred and historically important river, became a prison for evil forces, and its drying up was considered a sign of awakening and great transformations coming into the world. These legends of captivity are not only a warning of God's power and wrath, but also a reminder of humanity's responsibility to maintain morality and faith. So what does the Bible say about demons? Demons are fallen angels, as Revelation 12:9 indicates. The great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil, or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth, and his angels with him. Satan's fall from heaven is symbolically described in Isaiah 14:12-15 and Ezekiel 28:12-15. When he fell, Satan took some of the angels with him, 1/3 of them, according to Revelation 12:4. Jude 6 also mentions angels who sinned. So biblically, demons are fallen angels who, along with Satan, chose to rebel against God. Some of the demons are already locked in darkness, bound with everlasting chains, Jude 1:6, for their sin. Others are free to roam and are referred to as the powers of this dark world and the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. in Ephesians 6:12, see of Colossians 2:15. The demons still follow Satan as their leader and do battle with the holy angels in an attempt to thwart God's plan and hinder God's people. Daniel 10:13. Demons, as spirit beings, have the ability to take possession of a physical body. Demonic possession occurs when a person's body is completely controlled by a demon. This cannot happen to a child of God, since the Holy Spirit resides in the heart of the believer in Christ. 1 John 4:4. Jesus, during his earthly ministry, encountered many demons. Of course, none of them were a match for the power of Christ. Many who were demon-possessed were brought to him, and he drove out the spirits with a word. Matthew 8:16. Jesus' authority over the demons was one of the proofs that he was indeed the Son of God. Luke 11:20. The demons who encountered Jesus knew who he was, and they feared him. "What do you want with us, Son of God?" the demons shouted. "Have you come here to torture us before the appointed time?" Matthew 8:29. The demons know their end will be one of torment. Satan and his demons now look to destroy the work of God and deceive anyone they can. 1 Peter 5:8, 2 Corinthians 11:14-15. The demons are described as evil spirits, Matthew 10:1, unclean spirits, Mark 1:27, lying spirits, 1 Kings 22:23, and angels of Satan, Revelation 12:9. Satan and his demons deceive the world, 2 Corinthians 4:4, promulgate false doctrine, 1 Timothy 4:1, attack Christians, 2 Corinthians 12:7, 1 Peter 5:8, and combat the holy angels, Revelation 12:4-9. The demons' fallen angels are enemies of God, but they are defeated enemies. Christ has disarmed the powers and authorities, and he has made a public spectacle of them, triumphing over them by the cross, Colossians 2:15. As we submit to God and resist the devil, we have nothing to fear. The one who is in you is greater than the one who is in the world, 1 John 4:4. Okay, so that was our opinion about demons. If you like our channel, please give us a super chat to spread this video to many people. Any other theories? Some believe that the tunnel leads to the location where angels are imprisoned, as described in the Bible. Specifically in Revelation, it says, "Then the sixth angel blew his trumpet, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar before God, saying to the sixth angel who had the trumpet, 'Release the four angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates.' So the four angels who had been prepared for the hour, the day, the month, and the year were released to kill a third of mankind. The number of mounted troops was twice 10,000 times 10,000. I heard their number. And this is how I saw the horses in my vision and those who rode them. They wore breastplates the color of fire and of sapphire and of sulfur, and the heads of the horses were like lions' heads, and fire and smoke and sulfur came out of their mouths. By these three plagues, a third of mankind was killed by the fire and smoke and sulfur coming out of their mouths. For the power of the horses is in their mouths and in their tails, for their tails are like serpents with heads, and by means of them they wound." What is a fallen angel? The primary mission of fallen angels is to bring death. This deadly power, referenced in Hebrews 2:14, belongs to the devil. These angels are kept bound until they are unleashed for their specific role. The devil is the only other being mentioned in the book of Revelation who is similarly restrained, being confined in the bottomless pit for 1,000 years. In Revelation, he captures the dragon, the ancient serpent also known as the devil or Satan, and binds him for 1,000 years. Other fallen angels are cast into chains of darkness, reserved for judgment, as noted in 2 Peter 2:4. The four angels bound in the Euphrates are undoubtedly fallen angels. These four angels, believed to be imprisoned under the Euphrates River, are named Zagra, Plutus, Angela, and Losers. What does the Bible say? Revelation 9:14 states, "Saying to the sixth angel which had the trumpet, Loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates." This passage indicates that when these four angels are released at the Euphrates River, a catastrophic global conflict ensues. The sixth judgment is described as severe and devastating, resulting in the death of a third of mankind. Previously, under the third seal, a quarter of the population was killed. Revelation also describes a pale horse whose rider is named Death, followed by Hell. They were granted authority over a fourth of the earth to kill with the sword, famine, plague, and wild beasts. Now a third of the remaining population is to be slain, signifying a massive bloodshed. Historically in the Old Testament, God used the Euphrates River as a symbol to allow enemy forces to invade the land of his people. The river thus became a metaphor for the end times. The fierce advance of the Assyrians to carry out divine judgments upon Israel is described in Isaiah 8:7, 9, 8. Now therefore, behold, the Lord bringeth up upon them the waters of the river, strong and many, even the king of Assyria in all his glory. And he shall come up over all his channels, and go over all his banks. And he shall pass through Judah. He shall overflow and go over. He shall reach even to the neck. And the stretching out of his wings shall fill the breadth of thy land, O Emmanuel. Similarly, in the book of Revelation, John uses this same river as the site of God's judgment on the unsaved world. Although the destruction is confined to a third part, the Euphrates, where human sin began and Satan reigned for so long, now faces divine punishment. Revelation 9:14, 16:12 states, there is a definite article attached to the four angels identifying them specifically. Although Scripture does not detail these angels in Revelation, it mentions the four angels at the four corners of the earth. Those were different ones as they were not bound. Walv insightfully noted, good angels are never bound. As stated in 2 Peter 2:4, for if God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell, and delivered them into chains of darkness, to be reserved unto judgment. And in Jude 6, and the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day. These angels were leaders of the invading host. Beckwith comments, he now commands the sixth angel to set free the four angels, which have been bound and thus rendered unable to stop the march of the gospel. Matthew 24:14 states, and this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. When the appointed time arrives for the release of the four angels, evil forces will be unleashed upon a world that has turned away from God and his teachings. The forces of the Antichrist will also oppose the citizens of the kingdom of heaven, even though they bear God's seal and are under his spiritual protection. Jesus mentioned that if the days of great tribulation were not shortened, no one would survive. But for the sake of the elect, those days will be shortened. Matthew 24:22. The passive construction of the verb loose, or to set free, indicates that God is the one who commands the release of these four angels. The number 4 represents a global impact, as shown by the widespread destruction caused by these angels, resulting in a third of the world's population perishing. This scenario depicts a worldwide conflict as humanity faces God's judgment. Throughout history, God has restrained the forces of global destruction, though he has sent calamities affecting a third of the earth, including the trees, sea creatures, ships, waters, and celestial bodies. Revelation 8:7, 12. With the opening of the fourth seal, the severity of his judgments increases. Death and Hades are given authority over a fourth of the earth to kill with the sword, famine, disease, and wild beasts. However, now we see that a third of the earth's population is slain. Specifically, after the plagues that affect a third of creation, God releases a plague upon the ungodly. This plague is so severe that people long to die but cannot because death eludes them. Subsequently, another plague results in a third of mankind perishing. Why does the Lord allow fallen angels to kill people? Human beings are meant to be vessels for God, allowing him to live and work through them. They are not created merely to work, but to let God work through them. In this way, there is a trace of sin in all our actions. Allowing God to work means living for the welfare of all creation, realizing our unity with God in the entire creation, and living our lives for the good of the whole. It is akin to a leaf recognizing its unity with the entire tree and living its life for the tree's welfare. What is sin? It is acting on our individual desires and ambitions and using others to fulfill these desires and ambitions. These individual sins lead to competition and violence, embodying the survival of the fittest mentality. Acting on our collective identities and attempting to eliminate other collective identities results in collective sins, creating competition and violence on a larger scale. Society accepts these divisions and violence, which are structural sins we all commit, consciously or unconsciously, because they are socially permitted. No one questions them. Only by realizing that we are all interconnected and interdependent